What is up, NFL fans? It's your boy Kevin Phillip Fox here with the Legit Football NFL podcast. I'm joined by my man from Down Under. Let me waste no time. The man needs no introduction at this point. His name is Adrian Ravito, joining us live from Australia. Adrian, how the hell are you, man?
I didn't even need walk-up music. I'm not used to that's going to be a loaded sentence. I'm not used to coming in that fast. That's
I don't know what you're talking about there.
I couldn't make a joke because it's a family-friendly show.
It's a family show. I don't think anybody got the joke. I think it's over all of our heads. But welcome to the Legit Football NFL podcast. We're here. Usually we have Jimmy Ray with us. Jimmy Ray is absent today. So for those of you who tune in for Jimmy Ray, please stick around just maybe to hear some funny Australian slang terms or watch me get really excited about absolutely nothing. But you're here, and we're happy to see you. Shout out to everybody who's here. Takedo is here.
Australian slang, the Adrian Ravito story.
Nice. Already giving a shout out to Adrian. Takedo calling you the #1 Packers fan. That's a big
what up, man?
They have great fans.
That feels good. That feels good.
No,
but I'm obviously #1.
Oh, duh.
He's accurate. Yeah.
I hope to God if there's ever a #1 Bills fan, I get some at least consideration for it. You know, I've repped pretty hard.
You've got to be in the voting. You've really got to be.
Have to at least have a.
Have you gone through a table?
Yes, I actually have. Have I not ever shown you that?
No, I feel like that's a clip for the show.
We'll clip it and we'll put it on next week's episode because it's insane. Armand is here. Go ahead, Armand. Take your victory lap. Your Chiefs, your biggest Chiefs fan I know, Armand. Congrats. Way to go, buddy.
Armand copper drive-bys early.
Takedo very angry at Jimmy for missing out on the fun. I couldn't agree more. Takedo very disrespectful of Jimmy. He's with his girlfriend. Really? When the boys are making a pod, you're gonna? No, I'm just kidding. We're happy. For
Jimmy. I feel like we should call him out on this. I hope he's watching, and maybe we can get a comment in here.
Yeah, please.
Your girlfriend's in town. We're in town. We're always in town. That's what this virtual thing is, baby.
Yeah, your laptop is in town, bro. That means you can be on the show. You don't love us like that, I guess. It's fine.
Put AirPods in and take no camera. Whatever.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Out at the steakhouse, out at the restaurant with your girl, just keep the phone down by your waist and just look at us and talk to us every couple minutes. You know,
this is becoming a bit NSFW.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Well, we had a racy start to the episode here. Takedo making a pun that none of us know the ending to. Bros before what? I don't know what he's talking about.
Must be an American thing. Must be an American thing.
But we got a packed show for you today. We're going to break down a lot of things. Most importantly, and for some of us, most painfully, the Super Bowl that just transpired. An unbelievable game with a final score of 25-22 in overtime. The Kansas City Chiefs prevailing over the San Francisco 49ers. Adrian, I'll let you kick us off, man. What are your first thoughts on this year's Super Bowl?
Are we kicking Super Bowl straight into Super Bowl?
Oh, did we want to bounce around? What's the?
Yeah, let's go into Super Bowl. I think
it's the thing that's on everybody's mind. We can
hit some news later.
Be creative with our formatting.
Yeah, no, that is perfectly fine. I'm just looking at our last week's scores to see who predicted. You were 28-24. You were probably as close as it gets.
Yeah, did we all pick the Niners though?
No, I think you picked the Chiefs.
No, I picked the Niners. I might have. Yeah, I picked the Niners.
Sure. Unless then 28-24, but you could have just taken it. No one's going to change.
I know. I could have. I thought about it, but I have to go down with the ship. I hate the Chiefs. I can't even if it makes me right, I can't pretend to. Yeah, exactly.
So where do we start here then?
Takedo saying Dan Campbell would have gone for the fourth down.
For sure.
There's so much to talk about with overtime and the fourth quarter. Adrian, why don't you just give me high level thoughts, and then we can ratchet it down.
Yeah, all right. So let's start with high level thoughts. The highest level that everyone knows, and you just don't doubt. You just can't count out Mahomes no matter what. We were talking in the pre-show. He doesn't need the situation to be right, and it doesn't need anything. They just need to get here. And I think I can't remember what I was listening to recently prior to the Super Bowl, but it's almost like the Chiefs have fatigue of the regular season. They know it counts for nothing as long as they're getting to the playoffs. And when they get there, that's like, okay, here's the real us. And let's make it happen. So Mahomes did that. Kelsey, he started slow, then turned it on. And we'll go through our props, proper palooza at the end of this. But not Juwan Jennings. So MVS came in there. Mecole Hardman came in there. Like Clyde Edwards-Helaire got nowhere. So that hurt my props. But it was just the cast of thousands. If you look at the stat sheet and their defense held up as well, how do you stop them? I was screaming at the TV because I was saying in the first half, and the people were watching was like, no, they're holding him down. I'm like, you can't hold him down for an entire game. You need points on the board. You can't be this close because the Niners dominated the first half.
Yeah, it was excellent defense from the 49ers in the first half. Unbelievable. They did enough to win the game. They put themselves in a position to win the game time and time again. Nobody on the 49ers side of the ball was making those plays, those championship winning, championship sealing plays. They were treading water. It very much reminded me of how the Chiefs are against the Bills in the playoffs, where you can tell one team has the grit, they have the talent, they have the stuff to compete, and they don't make the plays. It's championship pedigree. The Chiefs have shown it time and time again. Patrick Mahomes, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who would have freaking thought? Mecole Hardman, Isaiah Pacheco, Travis Kelce, Trent McDuffie, who was unbelievable in coverage. So was L'Jarius Sneed. It's just, at the end of the day, the Chiefs are inevitable. Patrick Mahomes is inevitable.
I'm just looking at the stats sheet, right? 4, 6. So 7 receivers over 20 yards. Jerick McKinnon got 15 yards. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is their number 1 rusher. I never saw that coming. You're right. There's so many storylines that you could talk about here, and we're going to delve into them, I'm sure. There's one in particular that stands out for me, and I feel like there's 2 things that hurt the Niners the most. I'm going to get to the kicker in a second because you know my feelings.
Yeah, you talked about that before. Big difference in the game.
I mean, look, you can never chalk it down because who knows what happens if you score that extra point, then they go for it. Who knows? But it still sucks to miss an extra point.
Right.
When Dre Greenlaw went down, which was like a really almost swore then, there was a really terrible injury. Yeah, just running onto the field, you saw him sort of hopping on his balls of his feet, runs on, goes down, Achilles gone. He got replaced by Oren Burks. So Greenlaw was playing great. This is Oren Burks' stats when he's in coverage. He was targeted 9 times, but 9 catches, gave up a touchdown, gave up 134.7 passer grade, and put up 32.1 PFF grade. He was, I think, as soon as he came in, and like any great, Mahomes sees a weak spot, and it's like, bang, that's where I'm going every single time.
I just have to be honest, man. We know that they do that. They're so savvy. They're such a championship mindset team. And we saw them take advantage of the weakness. Look, you could have one of the best coverage linebackers in the NFL, and they will have a fit trying to cover the Chiefs' weapons, specifically Travis Kelce. We saw the same thing against Buffalo when Terrell Bernard went down. The Chiefs targeted a combination of A.J. Klein, and I don't even know who the other person who started at linebacker for the Bills was in that game off the top of my head. And I'm the biggest fan of the team. I know every guy on the 53 top to bottom, and I couldn't even tell you. Maybe it was Balin Spector. Maybe Terrell Dodson was back, but regardless, you have a weakness. You have a weakness at linebacker when you're trying to cover Travis Kelce and you're hurt. It's a liability. And Greenlaw's a strength. He's one of the best players on the team. Him going down really was a huge game changer for the Chiefs in the second half. They formatted their game plan around attacking that linebacker spot. And you said it.
And they said as much. They said as much. Nick Bosa said that Greenlaw was the heartbeat of the team and how much that swung the momentum. And Bosa had an outstanding game despite not clocking any sacks. That's what I was chuckling at before.
That's funny. That's funny.
I noticed you didn't bring up this comment.
Yeah, I'm very selective.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a big turning point in the game. And when it happened, I texted a friend of mine who's a Niners fan. And I was like, that's a big loss for you guys. And Shanahan loves to attack linebackers, and he's got the linebackers to slow. But you're right. You've got Kelce and Rice who both play in the same sort of area.
Slot.
Hard to slow them down. You can't take out someone like Dre Greenlaw and expect to be able to stop them the same way.
Yeah, man, absolutely tragic. But that's besides the point. I think if we get into the specifics, if we, you mentioned in our legit group chat, like, man, the Chiefs didn't feel like they deserved to win this year. They didn't feel like they were the best team or even close, and here they are. And I mentioned to you, and we talked about it already, that's the definition of greatness. Not everything has to go the right way for greatness to prevail. I mean, greatness is inevitable, and we saw it unfold. And the years when Mahomes doesn't win the ring or isn't there at the final whistle of the season, the final gun of the season, is the years we should count our blessings and our stars that something went right for another team or something went wrong for them. but he's going to be there more often than he's not. He really is like a different type of, but the next era of Tom Brady level quarterback play. And having 3 Super Bowls in his first, 6 years as a starter is just freakish. 7 years, 7 years in the league.
Yeah, certainly 6. Sorry, 6 as a starter. It
Yeah,
certainly seems like he's gonna take that title off Tom at his current pace. But you know what? I will say this, right? I will say that because it does suck and it hurts sometimes to like see someone, when you're so poor, you hate seeing so much richness, right? And I can't talk too much because the Packers have done okay in their time.
100%.
But you never know. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know when someone's going to drop off drop off. I don't think Mahomes is ever going to be bad or even sub-average, but he's going to have his years, and you're never guaranteed a spot at the dance. And so, while he will likely be back, but it's not for sure.
Yeah, I would bet a lot on it, to be honest.
Yeah, so would I.
I'm kind of Can you hear me? Am I back? I saw us for
yeah, no, you could.
I'm kind of fighting demons right now, bro, because like I love my Bills, man. I love my Josh Allen, man. But like, it's very disheartening that we see these teams have this repeated success, and it's like, man, if we could just do it once, it would be the difference in my happiness. Not being dramatic, obviously, but as a fan, you're starved. You want
dramatic but accurate.
100%. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm kind of waiting for that day to come, and waiting for hell to freeze over. It feels like as a Bills fan a little bit, and I'll keep rooting and I'll keep being passionate, and I'll keep covering objectively and being a fan of the NFL because I love it. And seeing this, just apart from the emotions that I feel for it, I can't appreciate it. I can't sit back and be like, what a beautiful, beautiful skill set. What a beautiful story. Like, I mean, this dude he's built different. He's a special, special player at the quarterback position. And it's not often that you get those players at the quarterback position who are this successful to be as exciting to watch as Mahomes is, and as graceful and as, fun. So not necessarily fun to root for, but damn fun to watch.
Yeah, but you know what? Look, and he was fun to root for. There was a time, a Super Bowl ago or 2 Super Bowls ago, where you were like, actually the first one when was it the first one he was up against Brady, or second Super Bowl that he lost? Anyway,
yeah.
My point being is, you said it last week. It's like either die hero or live long enough to become the villain. It is what it is. So moving on from Mahomes, I will pay some lip service to the real MVP of this game. You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Steve Spagnuolo.
Oh yeah,
he did so well, man. They rushed, they blitzed Purdy. I think it was around 50% of his dropbacks in the second half, and that really threw him off his game. They held McCaffrey to 3.5 yards per carry. They were smart. They adapted their game plan, and he really did keep them in check. And if it wasn't for that defense, because you're right, Mahomes can do it no matter what. But we got to agree that the final score at the score at halftime was way closer than it should have been, given the way that defense held the 49ers down.
Yeah,
but I think he deserves some head coach looks. No one's given it to him, but he deserved it.
Yeah, and the 49ers are a damn good team, man. Like they really are, and they have damn good weapons. And Brock Purdy was damn good all year. He might not have been the best in that game, and I'm not gonna dogpile on Brock Purdy the way the media is or the fans are. Like, whatever, man. Like, he's Mr. Irrelevant who's been starting for a team that's played in the NFC Championship 2 years in a row and in a Super Bowl. I don't know for certainty that he's a top 7 or 8 QB in the NFL. I don't think you can put him below 15 or 4, like in that range.
No way.
No.
And if you were to pick who you want in a team with, like, I mean, this guy's year 2 from the last pick in the draft. Like you said,
and being a fit for a team sometimes is better than just being objectively great. Like, he fits what the 49ers ask him to do. He's a point guard. He plays Chris Paul at the quarterback position. He's not gonna drop 40 a night. He's gonna get 11 assists. He's gonna be a facilitator.
See, you know what though? I tend to push back on this narrative that he's a game manager. And I'll tell you why. Because he does cop a lot, because that's the nature of Shanahan's offense. Anyone is a game manager, but he goes over the middle. And when you're going over the middle, you've got to get it over the heads of some before others. Like, he put some throws in that were just on the money. There was a couple to Brandon Ayuk in the second quarter that were just money.
LOL. I just got to show love to the Justin Herbert hate.
Yeah, well, this is, if he doesn't, we'll get to offseason storylines, but if he doesn't like spring up this year, there's something wrong. Anyway, Yeah, he throws some balls that are just amazing. He makes some decisions that are fantastic. Now, he missed some throws, particularly in the first half. Absolutely. Like, is he perfect? No. But I mean, we had Joe Burrow in his second year. Did he make the Super Bowl? Or did he make the championship? No, Super Bowl, right? Second year Joe Burrow was Super Bowl.
Might
Or
have,
third
might
year?
have. I know he tore his ACL the first year.
I guess my point being, right, is he had weapons around him as well. Yeah, he tore his ACL first year. I think second year, it might have been third year Super Bowl. I lose track, right? But Joe Burrow is touted as like the number 2 quarterback in the league. It's kind of like, why is Brock Purdy not in that conversation? All right, he doesn't have a cannon to throw it downfield the entire game, but he plays exactly what they need him to do, and he wins. And he, he completed, what did he do? 23 of 38 for 255 and a touch, no interceptions. I mean, like, are you really asking more from Mr. Irrelevant in his second year in the Super Bowl first? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I will say this, and this is me pushing back on your pushback, so we're kind of in a little bit of a pushing match here.
I love it. It's a push off.
I don't think there's any question in my love that. I don't think there's any question that he falls under the umbrella of game managers because of the way that he plays. And it's not an indictment on him. Like, people look at game manager as such a scar or such a blemish of a term. Like, I don't look at it like that. Like, I think that Tom Brady's the greatest game manager of all time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a certain way that you play quarterback. I think Cam Newton has a lot of insightful points. He kind of loses it a lot with his personal bias and his silly hats. People kind of don't take him as seriously as they probably should as like an analyst, but he makes really good points about the difference between being a game manager and being a game changer. Like, genuinely, like, I think game managers you win with and game changers you win because of. I don't think anybody would make the case that the 49ers are winning games because of Brock Purdy.
I might slightly. And there's just, you know what? There's sometimes
they're not losing games because of him.
Maybe that's the better way to put it. You're right. Like, there's some throws he has to make which are just dimes. Like, there's sometimes where he just steps up, and like, the thing is, right, is yes, there's a lot of yards after catch for the 49ers. Yes, he throws short a lot of times. But you know who else throws short a lot of times? Patrick freaking Mahomes. He threw short of the sticks a bit more than anyone in the league this year.
Yeah, but Patrick Mahomes makes those plays where he's running around and extending the play and flicking his wrist 70 yards down the field and
totally. And I'm not calling him Mahomes.
Right, I know, but and trust me, I like Brock. I think Brock Purdy passes the eye test in every way. I think the criticism that he gets is unfortunate, but I don't think it's. I think the spirit of it is unwarranted. Posing it as a bad thing is unwarranted. I don't think just saying that he's a game manager should be looked at as this red A, this scarlet A. You know what I mean? Like, I think, to Cato, it's hard to say. I would say probably less, but it's hard to say. I think Joe Burrow's a game manager.
See, I don't know if I'm going to push back on you, push back on my pushback. Like, I don't know. He just, because you're right, but Joe Burrow does make those plays. He does make those ones that it's like where he puts a team on his back and he gets them and he picks up those fourths or like third and longs. Like, he does that.
It's just a type of player. It's not an indictment on them or saying they can't do certain things. Like, I think Kirk Cousins is a game manager. I think, Tua is a game manager. I think game changers are players like Josh Allen, players like Patrick Mahomes. I think Justin Herbert could be, if he would get his ish together. I think a player like Anthony Richardson. I think a player like CJ Stroud. But even CJ Stroud is more on the who? Jordan Love? Yeah, hell yeah. Jordan Love had a great he played like a game changer.
He did, but the jury's still out. The jury's still out.
For sure. But your point is valid. So let's table this discussion for now, because I'm sure we can have this discussion. We can make it a whole podcast topic, and we can riff on this. It'll be a long off season.
Game changes versus game managers.
We'll have a lot of crap to talk about for sure all off season, so we'll get there. But right now, before we move on, because I think the Super Bowl, if anybody has questions to Cato, Armand, anybody has any questions about the Super Bowl or wants to talk about any specifics from the Super Bowl, there's one more thing I want to talk about. There's a lot of hullabaloo about the 49ers decision in overtime, and Juszczyk saying he didn't know the rules, and personally, Adrian, I was watching the game, and when I received the brief reminder of the rules from Jim Nantz, my first thought was, you win the coin toss, you defer, no matter what. That was my mindset. Because I think having the information of what happens on your opponent's drive is so much more valuable than having the opportunity to set the tone. Because if the other team's aggression gets used against them, great. Then all you have to do is kick a field goal and you win. If the Chiefs go for 2 and they don't get it, great. If they go for 2 and they do get it, great. You know you have to get a 2-point conversion. Mm-hmm. Shanahan's case of we wanted the ball third is so flawed because of exactly what happened. There's no guarantee that you get to a third possession. There's no guarantee that the Chiefs don't one up you. And it's the Chiefs. Everybody in the room that I was with were like, oh, I get where they're coming from, because what if you score a touchdown? And then I'm like, but what's to stop KC from going for 2 if they had to? And they said they would. They came out after and said they were planning on it. So, Adrian, am I yelling into a void? Are we
No, there's no pushback on your pushback here, because I was just like, when he picked, I was just like hands in face, because it didn't make sense to me. And look, Shanahan can be conservative at the best of times, and that to me is like it's a conservative decision disguised as an aggressive one. Like, oh, we want the ball, we set the tone, and he talked about wanting it third because he thought it was going to get there. So that to me is a conservative decision. To me, the aggressive decision is you defer. And then that, exactly as you said, you go for it. The aggressive part is go for it no matter what. So they get a touchdown, you get a touchdown at 2 point. They get a field goal. That's the way to go. And I think the argument that the players didn't know the rules. All right, correct me if I'm wrong. You or I have never played professional football in the NFL. Yeah, that's correct. I thought so too.
I've never played football in the NFL. I don't know about you. I can't speak for you, but I know.
Well, I can look, unless it's happening in a fever dream. And I have played NFL Pro Era, but that doesn't count. I know the rules. Like, and yeah, sure, we cover it every day, but it's not the point. Like, they live and breathe it. This is their occupation. They paid millions of dollars. You don't know the rules.
Inexcusable.
And we'll get to Steve Wilkes getting fired, but like expecting that the team's going to go through it with, like, oh, the Chiefs are like, we went through the overtimes every week, twice before Super Bowl. To me, it's almost unnecessary. Like, if you don't know the overtime rules by now, particularly this specific one, which was such a big talking point after the Bills Chiefs game that brought it into play, there's just no excuse for it. Like, am I wrong in thinking that? I feel like there's no way you can blame the coach on that.
It's inexcusable, and it's really unfortunate. And yeah, you said it yourself. We probably knew the rules better than them, it seems. And it's weird because I don't know if you saw the clip, but like, well, first of all, I don't know about you, but the one thing I felt like they did a really poor job in explaining was whether or not the clock would continue to run after it hit 0, because 49ers players didn't know if they won the game if the clock hit 0, and the Chiefs were letting the clock bleed.
Yeah,
and I thought
I didn't know that actually.
I felt like that was kind of an unfortunate lack of explanation from the NFL, from Nantz and Romo, CBS, whatever. I would have preferred a little bit more elaboration there, but I don't have access to the rule book. I'm not a player. I can't call the commissioner and be like, yo, can you clarify some things for me, homie? Like, you know what I mean? Which theoretically they can. Theoretically, the pros can, and they didn't. And Shanahan, I saw a thing that said Kelsey did that. Reed installed those plays in August. Those let's go win the Super Bowl 2-point conversion play, because they were planning on going for it regardless. And that's why that's the difference, Adrian. And that brings me back to the beginning thing that I talked about. It's champion. I hate it because it's so cliche. It's so obnoxious. And being a freaking fan of the Buffalo Bills, I can't speak on it because I don't know it. I mean, I can see it in other teams, but my team personally has never displayed it, except for maybe in the 90s when they went every year. I guess they were championship making it pedigree. They were runner-up pedigree, but
silver medalists. Love it.
Yeah, right. But that's what it is. Those little differences. The Patriot way. Remember how gross that was for that whole long time. There's a real thing there. There's something actually there. Psychologically, Phil Jackson, The Last Dance, like binders with it, on the cover for every player. Like, there's something there when it comes to championship mindset and pedigree, and the Chiefs just continue to display it when other teams don't.
And that's that takes me to another storyline. This Super Bowl, you tell me if you felt different, but it started off slow, and I was like, this is pretty
slow burn,
boring game.
Slow
but
burn.
There's so much stuff that came out of it, and one of those storylines was the Travis Kelce and Andy Reid kind of losing his donuts on the and my initial reaction to that was like, that's ridiculous. You can't do that to the coach. But what I will say is, to your point, is it's that fire, it's that drive, it's that like both Travis Kelce there. Mecole Hardman didn't know he'd won the game because he basically blacked out when he scored that touchdown. Like, it's that level of intensity that brings the Chiefs here every year. And it's going to continue to bring the Chiefs. And I know it sucks because it's like, well, AJ Brown kind of tweeted a thing about how he'd be kicked out of the league. And I understand players shouldn't get special privilege, although they will, because there's many people that would have been fined a lot of money for that.
Yeah.
But I will just say that's what it is. Like, and Kelce talked about it in his pod about how Coach Reid knows how much I love him, and he just knows that that's what he's just fired up, and that's what gets him there, and that's why Kelce is one of the best tight ends. It's like, it's that extra intangible that won't show up on the stat sheet that drives someone to do that, or to drive someone not that I'm calling Mecole Hardman a championship caliber player, but that drives him to just but the mindset, right? It's the mindset of the Chiefs is we're doing this. No, but there's more work to do. And that was Mecole Hardman's comment, was that he thought there was still more work to do, even though they'd won the game. And Patrick Mahomes said it after every playoff win: we're not done. More work to do. Not done. And that's the mindset, and that's what gets people here. Yeah,
that part.
Tell me about Armand.
Same, Armand. Yeah, no, you're so right, bro. And that's kind of what I'm trying to say here. That's kind of my summary. That's kind of what I took away from the Super Bowl. It reminds me of a lot of Brady's comeback win over the Falcons in the Super Bowl, because even though it's not as impressive of a comeback, I still think that's probably the best Super Bowl I've seen. This one's right up there. This one's probably top 5 to 10. This was a wonderful game. I would probably put this in that same bucket of we're watching greatness unfold before our eyes. We're watching inevitability unfold before our eyes. We're watching Thanos snap his fingers and say, I'm inevitable. That's really what.
Love that pop culture riff.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at with the Chiefs. So I think we can put a pin in the Super Bowl discussion. There will be a long off season to talk about the Super Bowl, game manager versus game changer. Is Cam Newton right? All that fun stuff. But that being said, I feel good about putting a pin in the Super Bowl discussion. I think before we move on, just really quick, senseless violence took place at the Chiefs championship parade. It's heartbreaking. It's disgusting. And prayers and thoughts and everything goes to the victims and to the people of Kansas City. Obviously the world just needs to be better. That's goes without saying. Yeah.
And I won't add to that. I'll just echo everything you said. So it really does suck. And I don't want to. We have to do one more thing. And I want to just give a second, because I feel like it's really bad taste for me to jump straight from.
We'll do a moment of silence. We'll do
but I will just take pause to say, man, people just need to do better. You're right. And that's just the bottom line. So I'll full stop that. Unreal. We have to, just before we move on from the Super Bowl, we have to check in on our props.
Oh yeah, Propapalooza. We had a fun time, man. Propapalooza.
All right.
So, German music?
Yeah. Well, I didn't know what a palooza was. I don't know what a palooza is. I think the original one was Lollapalooza. Yep. I don't know why I thought Oktoberfest. It is what it is. All right.
I love it.
Thank you, music. Okay, so my props here. Pacheco over 67.5 rush yards. That hit? I'm sure that's the only one I didn't tick off. That did not hit, so that's a no. Clyde Edwards-Helaire over 6.5 rush yards. That's a no. Total rushing yards 230.5 over. That hit.
Nice.
Bosa 2 sacks. No. The big one I got. If anyone took my advice on this one, there was a parlay on DraftKings for most passing, receiving, rushing yards, which was Mahomes, Kelce, and McCaffrey, plus 700. That hit. So that's the big one. If anyone put money on that, that's $700 for every 100 you put on there. Over under on Tony Romo fawning on Patrick Mahomes. We said it realistically at 6.5. I didn't track it, but I'd say it's over.
Yeah, I think so.
And then the last two were Juwan Jennings over 1.5 receptions, Kelce over 6.5. Both hit.
Yep. All right.
Jennings stepping up.
How were mine?
Yours, actually, I mean, you probably, the only one I couldn't find the answer to was Pacheco more than 20.5 rush yards in the first 5 attempts. Do you know if that hit?
Under hit there.
Under.
Yep.
MVS hit by 0.5 yards.
Yep.
Debo over less than 17.5 rushing yards. That hit.
Hit.
Kittle over 4 receptions was a no.
Yeah.
McCaffrey over 127.5 total yards. Hit.
Yep.
Rashee Rice more than 9. He only hit 6.
Only had 6 targets. He caught every target.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yes.
What a beast.
Am I running thinking that on my 6?
Yeah,
sorry, 6 receptions. No, I'm looking at
it
the
was
wrong stats.
The bet was targets. I did take over 6.5 receptions on a different brother. I will say this. I will let you guys know. Adrian and I are complete scumbag degenerates. Like we don't pretend we're not. I put a lot of money on the Super Bowl. I put a good amount of money on the Super Bowl. My return on investment, I won't say the units because it's maybe in bad taste. I won't say the units, but I will say
is it a positive?
Oh yeah. My return on investment.
Say the units, dude. Oh no, I need to know.
I'll just be transparent. It's fine. I bet $350 total on the game across everything. Platforms, straight bets, parlays, squares. Anthony did some squares, and I bet $350 and I won back $550.
Boom. That's fantastic.
So I was plus 200. I was plus 200. Yeah. I had the 49ers would have won the game by I was 49ers minus 2.5. So I really was feeling pretty good about that one the whole day. That was an additional 200 because that's where I lost one of the 100. And then I had a 6-leg parlay on Prize Picks where the last leg was Brandon Ayuk first 2 receptions over under 24.5 yards. I took the under, the over hit, and if that one had hit, it would have been a plus 750. It ended up still being a 50 payout, but it would have been plus 750. So,
man, that's still a pretty good return. That's
great return. Oh, wonderful Super Bowl for Kev.
Absolutely. So, and then we got to, even though Mr. Himmy Ray's not here, we still got to pay some lip service. Nobody to score 2 TDs. Hit. Longest drive of 80 plus yards was not a hit. We all called that free money. 75 yards was the longest drive.
Shocking.
Kelsey TD was a no. Coin toss tails was a yes. And Reba McIntyre to wear white boots. She did not. She wore black. Hey, actually, can I ask you, Usher halftime show? Quick ranking.
I liked it. I thought it was a mid.
10?
Yeah, out of 10, 6.3.
Okay, I like that. And if you had to look, I really love Usher, and I'm actually in a very Ushery phase at the moment of just reliving my younger
so many
nostalgia.
Good songs. So many.
I think that was my problem, is that he changed songs too much. If you take that part out of it, I'd put it at a solid sort of 7.
Oh, so yeah. I thought Usher was good. I liked the dancing. I thought there wasn't enough emphasis on his voice. Like I felt like I couldn't understand like enough of his singing.
Sound wasn't great, huh?
Yeah, the sound was kind of bad, and the cameos were cool. Ludacris was great. Her playing the guitar was great. I'm trying to think. There's one more. Oh, Alicia Keys, tough on the crack. Did you hear her crack?
Right at the start.
Yeah,
I think it was.
She cracked into oblivion.
And I love me some Alicia Keys.
She's great.
I still thought she was awesome, but you're right. She did cop a nice crack.
She cracked into oblivion, bro. That was like, oof. That was like Joe Crack times 10, bro. That was like, I couldn't even. I felt so bad for her, but she was great. She rounded for him. A little boring, maybe.
So funny.
I thought I was watching a part 2 of
I don't know if you saw the comparison photo when Usher and Ludacris were in the purple vests, and there was a comparison of like Ben Stiller from Dodgeball.
That's awesome. So funny. No, that's great. I didn't see it, but that's really funny. Okay, Adrian, what else is on the show docket for today? What else do we got for the good people?
So we've got a couple things. I think we can probably just touch on a couple of news items from the legit headlines. I wish I had the drop. I don't have the drop from there. Perfect. All right. So let me get rid of the proper palooza because it is no longer proper.
It's over. Proper palooza is over.
So we've got the Falcons exploring all QB options. So you'll see this in the legit headlines today. So Falcons offensive coordinator Zach Robertson said all options are on the table relative to the quarterback situation. I think the only option that won't be is Desmond Ridder still being there. And they're saying that they were going to study the free agent and draft pool. Don't mean to take your role as host here. It's just because I didn't.
No, please.
Document for him. So, so that's the first one. I think the obvious they're not going back to Desmond Ridder, and that would be a joke too. He's can't be stated enough.
Pretty bad. Do you think he'll be a good backup?
I think he'll be. You know what I kind of see him following the trajectory of like a Josh Rosen, just like jumps to a couple teams to the
Oh, just third string practice squad.
Correct. Yeah.
That's tough.
I don't rate. There's like even as a backup, I feel like there was I wasn't on the Desmond Ridder train from the very beginning, and I don't think he showed anything that would make you want him as a backup.
Did I just hear your European phrase of "I don't rate"?
Is that your?
Were you gonna say I don't rate him?
Is that not a thing? Is that not a thing in America?
That's totally a European thing. I have a British friend who says it. Like he always jokes and says like, "Oh, just like when he's joking around, he's like, oh, bro, I don't rate Josh Allen."
Australian thing. I've seen that. I haven't seen that too much in American media.
Yeah, that's a thing here for sure.
I love saying you rate something, meaning you like it. I think that's so funny.
Because it kind of thought about it weirdly.
In English, it doesn't really make a ton of sense because you're not saying how you rate them. Like if you rate something in English, it's all English. But I guess in American culture, it means like you're not saying where you rate them. So you could say like, oh, I don't rate them, or I rate them, and it's like. It's a very weird. I'm glad you said it because it's funny. I like it. I think it's a good.
I'm glad you called it out because I know obviously our viewership is like largely American, so I'm going to say things.
Do your Australian drop. This is your moment. This is your big moment.
I don't know. You're right, actually.
Welcome to Australian Slang, the Adrian Rovito story.
You want to hear the best Australian slang? I can't say it all because it's obviously got a swear word. I might have said it on the show before. The phrase is, and you tell me if I've said it because I don't want to repeat myself. I didn't come here to F spiders.
Oh wow, no, I've never heard that. What does that mean?
Well, what it means, right, is that it gets used. I wouldn't say it's used frequently, but it gets used in like. I don't know if it's like in America. I'm sure it's similar. Like in the South, you've got those real American like kind of Southern accents, and they're very. I don't know what the politically correct terms. We've got real Aussie people that would use something like that. And it means I'm not messing around. Like I'm here, I'm serious. And
I'm here for this thing. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not here to F spiders. I'm here to do what this thing is.
Wow, what the thing is that I'm here for. Wow, that's crazy. I love that.
I really like it. Yeah, I really like it as a term.
It's weird as hell. So yeah, I'll say this on the Falcons thing and on Ridder. Yeah, Ridder's probably. I could see what you're saying about the going the way of a Rosen or like a kind of, he might bounce around and be a low end backup, but think about it, bro. Like Kyle Allen is a backup right now. Like, do we like? I don't mean to be disrespectful to Kyle Allen, Bills legend, but I mean, I don't know, bud. I don't know. I think Ridder might have a path. I don't know if there's 64 quarterbacks better than Desmond Ridder.
Look, that's a very fair call, and I think sometimes you forget. Look, I think sometimes you've got when you think about the backup quarterback, the real teams, in my opinion, take the backup quarterback position relatively seriously.
Yeah,
because unless you've got an absolute, like, unless you got like a gladiator at quarterback, like they can get injured at some point. So
like Josh, really, I mean, Josh is the gladiator, the ideal gladiator. He's pinnacle of not missing games, even when he's been banged up.
Correct. So I think if you've got someone like a Ridder as a backup, sure as a backup, but once that backup is in, no one takes it seriously. Whereas I could see like a Brissett coming in and carrying, holding the torch until the quarterback is back. So
yep.
Like maybe Tannehill will end up as, I don't think he'll end up starting again. He might end up. So yeah, he might end up as a backup. In terms of what the Falcons should do, what I would love to see them do, I'd love to see them go after Kirk. I know that we reported that he had some ties to Raheem Morris back in his Washington days. And if you think about like Zach Robinson as a offensive coordinator, he had Stafford. And to me, Kirk is like Stafford, older guy. You give him time and he will dice you apart. Don't know what he's going to back up to the Achilles, but I think Kirk could be a good spot. They're not going to get they're not going to get a top draft pick at number 8. They're not getting May or Williams or Jaden Daniels. So
unless they trade up, I mean, I don't hate the idea of maybe going and getting into Fields.
Yeah, I think Fields would be a good pickup for anyone, especially if you get him for a second. I don't love Fields, but I also think he's been with the Bears, who are just criminal mismanagers. So
yeah, I could see Fields really working out in Atlanta.
Yeah, particularly we've seen what their run game can be like, and you add Fields to that. That's kind of like when Lamar stepped into the Ravens.
Yeah, Takado, not a fan of Justin Fields. I think that's hatred. I think Fields is good. What's the next one, buddy? What's the next headline we're chopping up?
And this is just hitting the Steve Wilkes being fired.
That was tough.
This one's hard. Yeah,
it's you have one of the best defenses in the league. You make it to the freaking Super Bowl. what are we doing here?
Yeah, this feels to me like a kind of snake bit Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan
Child
needing someone
Canahan, my boy.
needing someone to blame. Yeah, that's who he is from now on.
You'd
Kyle
call it a
Shanahan, and
scapegoat, right? That's what you would call it.
I would call it that.
People said that about Dorsey because Dorsey was bad in Buffalo, and then Buffalo's offense got great, and they went 7-1 down the stretch. So, it's interesting, right? Like it could be a culture thing, it could be an attitude thing, it could be like maybe they didn't mesh, but I don't think there could be any case that he's not. That he's a wonderful, wonderful coordinator, and I think he'll land on his feet, no question.
I did a quick because when it happened, I sort of had a look at what they ranked in the regular season, and sure that like they weren't, I think they were 17th in pass coverage, 16th in rush, 21st in run D, but like they were first in interceptions, second in points, so second in yards allowed, third in points allowed. Like they allowed a lot of passes, so 29th in passes allowed, but then second in yards allowed. So all they were allowing was the short game. They were holding teams down, like they weren't giving up the big plays. Look, you can look at that as a positive and a negative. Jim Schwartz, sorry. The Browns defensive coordinator is an example of someone that gives up big plays, but stops the ball quickly, puts pressure and gets the ball out. So, it can be a positive, it can be a negative.
Great question here from Armand because this former Buffalo Bills head coach name is making the rounds again. Rex Ryan has gotten serious looks from the Cowboys. Now he's getting serious looks from SF. Takado says, sexy Recky in San Fran with all those toes in the Bay Area. Oh my goodness, Takado. This is a family show. I didn't read the whole in it. Adrian, any thoughts on Rex getting a job?
Look, you know what? I haven't even seen the discourse or the whispers about it, so it's hard for me to comment, and I don't want to just make stuff up on the spot if I'm incorrect. But, I think that Shanahan has a history of hiring excellent defensive coordinators, and this is why Steve Wilkes got the boot, because he's used to, he had why am I blanking on names now? D'Amico Ryans, and then Jets head coach Robert Saleh. He's got a history of hiring really top quality. So if he's got his eyes on Rex Ryan, to me, then you've got to give it some serious consideration because he generally hires well.
You're trusting Shanahan here. You're just saying he's had a good track record. I trust him.
And I think Steve Wilkes was a good hire as well. I don't think they should have got rid of him.
He was. I think him getting fired was a little unceremonious, but there was some bad stuff. There was some bad moments in the Super Bowl for his defense for sure. But Shanahan didn't go out there and win the game. That's the truth. And nobody did, right? The kicker didn't.
Dominate?
The offense didn't score. Shanahan, man, let's just come back to this before we wrap up. Shanahan's had some of the toughest losses in Super Bowl history. 28-3. This one, the one against Mahomes the first time. Like,
he's had 10-point leads at least in every one.
could
you compare him to Andy Reid though? Could you compare? Andy Reid didn't get over the hump for a while.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say somehow Shanahan just making it one game further than McDermott ever did. He's impervious to all this firing criticism and all this. Is he holding the team back? Yada yada, this, that, and the third BS. And it's like, I don't know, Age. I don't know. It's just like Andy Reid. Andy Reid made 4 straight AFC Championship games prior to winning a Super Bowl with Philly, and then I think even more with KC, probably 5 or 6. I think he made it to 6 before he even won a bowl. And Rex Ryan, people forget, he took the Jets to back-to-back AFC championships in Mark Sanchez's rookie and second year. Like, Shanahan, he's been impervious to criticism because of his regular season success and how dominant his teams have been and how revolutionary his offenses have looked at times and how great his system is, quarterback proof, yada yada, this, that, and the third. But should he be subjected to more criticism?
I think I hear your point, but I can't imagine the reason. I think the reason he's been so impervious is, can you see them firing Shanahan and finding someone better? Like, sure, you could say that he's been snake bit. He hasn't, he can't close in the final big game. But I think the thing is he develops players, he hires well, his system is strong, and he makes the most of what he's got. He took Jimmy G to a freaking Super Bowl. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, he does enough to make it clear that he's probably the best you're going to get. And coaching matters as everyone knows. And if you fire him and then you jump ship to someone else, like everyone wants what the 49ers have. That's why his coaching tree gets hired immediately.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can't. I think the imperviousness to criticism is deserved.
Yeah, I guess so. But then, I mean, don't you think also maybe that people should be less hard on the player, the coaches like McDermott and like early Andy Reid and like, coaches like that?
But I've always said McDermott is a great coach.
I know
Yeah.
but that's because you're a freaking smart dude. You're not like a hot take machine or a reactionary. You weigh your words carefully, and that's why you're a great co-host, because you're smart.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And even when Andy Reid won his first Super Bowl, like you remember what the flowers were like from him, because it's like everyone knew he deserved it. He deserved the Super Bowl, and he got one. Coaches like that, coaches like Shanahan, they don't come along. They don't come along every year or every 2 years. Like, you don't get these masterminds. There absolutely are more of him. So, and you can talk about most of his coaching tree: LaFleur, Sean McVay. I'm not going to talk Brandon Staley, but like, you can talk his coaching tree and where it ends up, but they don't come along.
Does LaFleur have a ring with y'all? Did he get one?
No, but I think he's similar to Shanahan. He's had such regular season success, and so much has been put on Rodgers, and then now you have Jordan Love come in and play out of his mind early. I think he's safe for at least a couple of years.
I just feel like, this is a good point here. Takedo's making a great point about injuries here. Injuries play a role in some of the faults of these teams. LaFleur is a great example. And you take McVay's ring out, and McVay would be subject to the same criticism. You can't take his ring out because he went out and won it. They did the F them picks year, and it worked out. And now they're turning 3rd and 4th and 5th round picks into superstars. So the Rams, under great leadership. But, for every McVay and LaFleur, there's a Brandon Staley. We don't really know how things are looking with Mike McDaniel just yet. Two one and dones in the playoffs. Two kind of pitiful one and dones in the playoffs. So
that's what McDaniel's been.
The question is the grass? The question is the grass greener? And I think you and I would agree that it's not. That's the point.
And that's exactly where I'm at.
Yeah. The point is, you get your hands on somebody who can get you to the dance, and then you deal with the rest from there. But these guys are tried and true at that.
And I feel the same way about there's certain players. Like, I feel the same way about Kirk Cousins. Give him another 2 years because he was playing his best game before. Like, sure, roll the dice and go get someone else, but is he going to be better?
Yeah, that's where I'm at with the Bears discourse about whether or not they keep the number one and move Fields, or keep Fields and move the number one. Because, look, you can go do what the 49ers did and go build the best possible team around a player who's maybe not the best player on your team at the quarterback position, but they have to go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, very likely, or Josh Allen, or Lamar Jackson, or Joe Burrow, one of those AFC elite quarterbacks, or maybe CJ Stroud. Maybe CJ Stroud enters that conversation after this season. So do you want to risk them being the 11th or 12th best player on the team when you have a chance to go get a Caleb Williams, who might be the best player on the team?
I'm okay for the Bears to go after Caleb Williams. To be
Me too.
I think and I like Justin Fields. I think he's not being used there right. And he was arguably the number one rushing quarterback in terms of skill level, and I'll say that even with Lamar in the room, like, arguably number one. No, very, very few designed runs around him. Very, very few like making use of his legs. The only time you saw it is when he scrambled.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's for another day's discussion.
The talent and the fantasy football side of Justin Fields is like oozing. It's like, give this man the keys to a car and let him drive. Like, it's just, does that end up happening? We'll see. This is great. We have great comments. The grass ain't greener. It's AstroTurf. It's always great. And that's pretty funny. Bill or Vrabel could be in play after next season for 49ers head coach. So Armand might be forecasting a Shanahan departure, which I'm not saying. And I don't think he should be, for the record. I just think we should criticize coaches across the board evenly. I think there's two tiers. You have a ring or you don't. And I think that all this in-between nonsense that we're getting lost in, of you keep getting close and failing, is a really fast recipe to losing a great coach because you're being stubborn. Like,
I think one team gets a ring. if you're only 2 people get to the dance. If you're in the dance, dude,
And what
you
can
can
you
play
do if
over.
Reed keeps gobbling them all up?
Yeah,
You know, no pun intended.
they're just those
Anyways,
nuggets in that progressive in
yeah,
the State Farm commercial. He's just walking his
literally,
hands across. Yeah,
literally. So, is there anything else we wanted to touch on? I feel like for the 50-minute mark, this is a really solid Super Bowl recap show.
I
Fear
think we can
not.
call it there.
For the moment, we're planning on jumping back in weekly. We don't really plan on taking a break. Adrian and I, this is our weekly hangout sesh. There's really nothing quite like talking football with this guy. We got Jimmy coming back, hopefully. I'm going to continue to harass Brian McFadden until he does the guest that he was promised. But it's coming. It's coming. So we just want to thank you all for listening, you all who subscribe. Everybody who checks in on the NFL Stats Twitter through Jimmy, we appreciate you. Go follow us on Twitter. I'm at the Buffalo Trill. He's at Adrian_Revito. It's Legit Football has a Twitter that does a daily stat every single day on Twitter, or a daily post. Brian McFadden does wonderful, wonderful things for that. Football talk about the sevens, LMAO. I'm not sure if I know what he means
Got
there.
nothing for you, Takeda. Normally, I'd have you back to be like, "Oh, it means this," but I don't know.
Yeah, we're, and I'm not even Australian, so
Is he calling us 7 out of 10? Is that what it is? I reckon that's what it is. I'll take that as
he better not. He better not be. At least you
7 out of 7?
bring up the aggregate attractiveness of this cast
Stop
immensely.
it, you.
Anyways, guys, this has been such a fun season, and it is now over. We are now in off-season time, so we will have our fun. The draft will pick up. I'm planning on using this as an excuse to brush up on draft stuff. Adrian, start sending me stuff, man. When you get get takes and whatnot. The Austrian sevens, LMAO. I'm not sure if I get it. I think
Just got nothing for you, bro.
I think we're ships passing in the night on that one.
You know I'm Australian, not Austrian, right?
Yeah, I like that. Thanks for a super season, and let's enjoy the off-season talk. Armand, I couldn't agree with you more, brother. I'm happy that you're going to be here for us every single week. You and Takeda, and again, I say his name every time, but I miss Joey Crack. That's my dog. I miss him. I want him back in here. Somebody has to harass him on Twitter or something. But we have the legends like Oscar. We have a lot of legends in the Legit Football chat. We need to get things popping off again. So, Adrian, anything you want to say to the good people before we close the book on the 2024 NFL season, 2023 NFL season?
Just that. It's been a good season, man, and I'm looking forward to the offseason. And very few people look forward to the offseason, but you make it a lot easier, Kevin. So I'm looking forward to it.
You too, brother. I'm excited. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Legit Football NFL podcast. And for the last time of 2023 NFL season, we are out.